Hi guys, and welcome to a book haul for the month of September. I was a little out of control again, but I'm just happy I have these books in my life right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get right into this. Okay. Okay, let's go with these three first. Alright, so this one is, okay. There's a couple of books that I bought when I went to Barnes & Noble on my grandma's, what would have been her 86th birthday. And I got like 6 books, and these are 3 of them. This one is called The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentill. It says, in every person's story, there is something to hide. The ornate reading room at the Boston Public Library is quiet until the tranquility is shattered by a woman's terrified scream. Security guards take charge immediately, instructing everyone inside to stay put until the threat is identified and contained. While they wait for the all clear, 4 strangers who'd happened to sit at the same table pass the time in conversation, and friendships are struck. Each has his or her own reasons for being in the reading room that morning. It just happens that one is a murderer. Okay, so the other one I got is The Disappearance by Bentley Little. It says, let's see, Gary, his girlfriend Joan, and their friends intend to make the most of their 3-day vacation from UCLA by partying at Burning Man. But soon after they arrive at the festival in the remote desert, Joan disappears. Calls to her parents' home yield only dead air. Her school records are gone, and there's no evidence that Joan or even her roommate ever existed. Most disturbing of all is what they do find. Among Joan's belongings is a prayer written on a small scroll. It's a safeguard and a warning from something called the Outsiders. For Gary and his friends, it's the only clue. Now, if they want to find out exactly what happened to Joan, they must follow it, but they may not like what they uncover. This next one is a love story, and this is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I'm not sure what the name of the series is. Let's see if it tells me inside. Because I know this is book 1 in a series. Oh, I've got a couple of wrinkled pages. Oh well. Nope, I don't know. Or maybe it's a standalone. I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I get more into it. Okay. It says, I wanted to lose myself in the small town of Palian, Maine, to forget everything I had left behind. The sound of rain, the blood, the coldness of a gun against my skin. For 6 months, each breath has been a reminder that I survived, and my dad didn't. I'm almost safe again, but the moment I meet Archer Hale, my entire world tilts on its axis and never rights itself again. Until I trespass into his strange, silent, and isolated world, Archer communicates with no one. Yet in his whiskey-colored eyes, something intangible happens between us. There's so much more to him than just his beauty, his presence, or the ways his hands communicate with me, on me. But this town is mired in secrets and betrayals, and Archer is the explosive center of it all. So much passion and so much hurt. But it's in Archer's silence that we might just find what we need to heal and to live. Okay, so these next books are R.L. Stine. So this one is The Evil Lives. This is an R.L. Stine super chiller. I will not be reading the synopsis on this one because it is book 4 or 5 in the Fear Street series within the Fear Street world. So where this one is part of a consecutive series, I will not be reading this one. The same thing goes for Silent Night 3. This is another super chiller, and again, this is book 3 in a series, and this follows the same characters as the cheerleader one. I will not be reading the synopsis on this one so that I don't spoil anything in Silent Night 1 or 2. But Silent Night number 3. This one I can read the synopsis, and all of these Fear Street books I got from thrift books. This is another super chiller, and this is High Tide. And this one is a standalone within the Fear Street world. Blood on the Water. Adam Malfitano still has nightmares about the night his girlfriend Mitzi died. He sees the blood. He sees her in the water. He is a lifeguard, and he can't save her. He wakes up screaming. Even worse, he has begun to see Mitzi while he is awake. He knows it is impossible, but she looks so real. He can see her face decaying. What does she want from him? Why won't she leave him alone? He tried to save her. Doesn't she know that? I guess we'll find out if she knows that or not, or just wants to ignore it. Okay, let's go ahead and do these other ones here. These are also all Fear Street books. And these two I can't read because these are part of a trilogy within the Fear Street world, but I have the 99 Fear Street, The House of Evil. This is the second horror and the third horror. I'm still waiting on the first horror to arrive. So there's that. Okay, so this next trilogy, I can read the first one for, but not the other two. So book number 3 is The Burning, and this is the Fear Street Saga, which is a trilogy. So The Burning, and I don't remember, I think these follow the same characters, so that's why I'm not going to read the synopsis of those. Number 2 is Secret, The Secret. So number 2 is in a standard paperback, and then mass market for number 3. Number 1 is also a mass market paperback, and that is The Betrayal. So this one says, the secret is out. Why do so many horrifying things happen on Fear Street? Nora knows. She knows how the terror began. She knows about the young girl who burned at the stake, and the bloody feud between two families that caused the unspeakable horror that has lasted 300 years. She knows, and she wants to tell. Are you sure you want to hear it? So I've got that part of the Fear Street series collected and ready to go. Okay, the next ones I got is, this one is A Time of Courage by John Gwynne. This is a beast of a book. This is over 600 pages, 674 pages. And this is book number 3, and it is the final book in the Of Blood and Bone trilogy. I finished the second one, loved it. I had to have the third one so that when I'm ready to get back into John Gwynne's writing, it's ready to go. So I will not be reading the synopsis of that one. Okay. Next up I have Addicted After All by Krista and Becca Ritchie. And this is part of the Addicted series, I believe. Let's see. Yes. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the series. Let's see. Okay, so this one I will not read the synopsis for. I think I did in a couple of them thinking that they were standalones, but they're not. So where this is number 7, I'm not going to be reading this because I don't want to spoil myself too much. So I think I'll skip. And then obviously, you know, I will go ahead and read the synopsis of this one. Well, no, I won't. Anyway, Addicted After All. The first book follows 2 characters, Lily and Lauren. Lauren is addicted to alcohol. Lily is addicted to sex. So we're following them as they basically are enablers towards each other and their addictions. So number 7 in that series. Okay. This next one, I will read the first one unless these follow different characters. Ray, Kava, Hannah. Yep, they follow different characters. So this I can. Now this first one, book number 1 in this series, this is the Ravenswood trilogy written by Talia Hibbert. Book number 1 is A Girl Like Her, and this is the January selection, January 2024, for the Autism Reads book, because Talia Hibbert is on the autism spectrum. So this one says, She's the town pariah. He doesn't give a damn. In Ruth Kaba's world, comic books are king, silence is golden, and human contact is a pesky distraction. She doesn't like people, which works out just fine because the people in the small town don't like her. The exception to that rule? Evan Miller, her way too charming next-door neighbor. Ex-military man Evan is all tattooed muscle on the outside and a big, cuddly teddy bear beneath. He's used to coaxing prickly people from their shells, but he's never met a woman quite like Ruth. Blunt, sarcastic, and secretly sad. She's his exact opposite. She's also his deepest desire. Soon, Evan's steady patience and smoldering smiles are melting Ruth's reserve. But the small-town gossip from her past begins to poison her future. But when small-town gossip from her past begins to poison her future, she's forced to make a choice. Should she trust Evan completely, or is her heart safest alone? All right, book number 2 in that series is Untouchable. Let's see. Sleeping with the staff wasn't part of the plan. Sensible, capable, and ruthlessly efficient Hannah Kabat is the perfect nanny until a colossal mistake destroys her career and shatters her reputation. These days, no one in town will hire her, except Nathaniel Davis, a brooding widower with a smile like sin and 2 kids he can't handle. Prim and proper Hannah is supposed to make Nate's life easier, but the more time he spends around his live-in nanny, the more he makes things hard. He can't take advantage of her vulnerable position, but he can't deny the truth either. With every look, every smile, every midnight meeting, Nate's untouchable employee is stealing his heart. The trouble is, she doesn't want to keep it. Forbidden love isn't high on Hannah's to-do list, and trust isn't one of her strengths. When dark secrets threaten to destroy their bond, Nate's forced to start playing dirty, because this reformed bad boy will break every rule to finally claim his woman. Okay, this next one is called That Kind of Guy, by Talia Hibbert. So these are following different characters. She wants a fake relationship. He needs something real. If there's one thing Ray can't stand, it's pity. She's 40, frazzled, and fed up. So attending an awards ceremony alone with her ex-swans about his new wife? Not an option. To avoid total humiliation, Ray needs to date a date of her own. And her young, hot-as-hell new best friend is the perfect candidate. Zach Davis, king of casual hookups, has a secret. He's the notorious womanizer, craves emotional connection, and anonymous encounters leave him feeling hollow. After years of performance, Zach's desperate to be himself. So why does he agree to play Ruth's fake boyfriend? And why does it feel so easy? When the line between pretense and desire blurs, Zach's forced to face an unexpected truth. There's nothing phony about his need for Ray. But the jaded divorcee's been hurt by Playboy men before. Can a weekend of faking it prove that Zach's for real? Okay, this next one is the February selection for the Autism Reads, and that is 1,000 Perfect Notes. This was written by C.G. Drews, so this author is on the autism spectrum. Beck's mother, a once famous pianist, lives out her shattered dreams through her son. Crushed by her violence and forced to play the piano until his hands bleed, Beck is broken, until August comes along. August, with her bare feet and doodled hands. August, fiercely protective of those in need. Can she help Beck unlock his own music and say all the things he's never said? Okay, so this next one I got from thriftbooks.com for like $1. And this was to go with the prompt that Amy from A Bookish Life gave on A Game of Bookish Life TBR for the viewer prompt. And that is to go to basically a thrift bookstore, well, thriftbooks.com, and get a book that starts with the letter K, like kite. I got Key of Light. This is book number 1, and I think it's a trilogy. And this was written by Nora Roberts. Mallory Price's life plan has hit a snag. She's in danger of losing her job managing an art gallery in Pleasant Valley, Pennsylvania. A welcome distraction comes in the form of an invitation to a cocktail party at Warrior's Peak, an infamous estate overlooking the town, but no one else she knows has been invited. There are only 2 other guests, Dana Steele, a librarian, and Zoe McCourt, a single mother. On the surface, it seems the women have nothing in common until their mysterious hosts tell them a story and offer them a challenge. Legend has it that the souls of 3 demigoddesses, one an artist, one a bard, and one a warrior, have been locked in a box that has 3 keys. Now it's up to Mallory and the others to find the keys. The reward, $1 million each. It all seems too bizarre to be true, but none of them can imagine the financial windfall they stand to gain. And now Mallory, with her soul of an artist and eye for beauty, must find her key first. She soon discovers that whatever locked the souls away is dark, powerful, and greedy, and it doesn't want the women to win. Okay, this next one I've actually been thinking about getting this one for a while, and this is actually a children's book, and I have since read it and gave it 5 stars. This guy has a channel on YouTube and on Instagram. Those are the only ones that I know of, and that is by Peet Montzingo, and the book is Little Imperfections. So it's all about his life growing up as a quote-unquote normal. I mean, what really is normal anyway? But the family he was born into, his mom, his dad, and his siblings, his brother and sister all have dwarfism. He does not. So he talks about his life growing up in a family of people that have dwarfism. So that's it. And there's a lot of really great messages in this, and I loved it. So, okay. So this next one I got will be my first Penelope Douglas. I've been wanting to try her writing, and I decided to go with Bully. I really like the cover of this one. Very simple. It says, "My name is Tate. He doesn't call me that though. He would never refer to me by a friendly nickname. No, he'll barely even speak to me, but he still won't leave me alone. We were best friends once. Then he turned on me and made it his mission to ruin my life. I was humiliated, shut out, and gossiped about all through high school. His pranks and rumors got worse as time went on, and I made myself sick trying to stay out of his way. I even went away for a year just to avoid him. But I'm done hiding from him now, and I'm not going to let him ruin another year. Jared might not have changed, but I have, and it's time to fight back." Okay, so this next one, it's like book 2 or 3 in this series that caught my eye, and of course I had to go for book 1 first. But this particular one is called Praise, and this is written by Sara Cate, I'm guessing. And this is a Salacious Players Club. It says, "Broken down by her emotionally neglectful ex, all Charlie Underwood wants is someone to tell her she's good enough. Then she stumbles into a new job with a boss who brings her to her knees. Literally. As an owner of the Salacious Players Club, Emerson Grant knows exactly what he wants and isn't shy about his particular tastes. But when he mistakes Charlie for a candidate to be his new submissive instead of his son's ex-girlfriend, he immediately tries to correct the situation. He offers Charlie a job as his secretary and nothing more. Yet, now that Charlie has seen a glimpse of what can happen when she's honest about what she wants, she makes it clear that all she wants is Emerson. He might be twice her age and her ex-boyfriend's dad, but he's also the only man who can give her everything she desires." All right, next up, I've been wanting to try this author for a bit, and that is Elle Kennedy, and this one is called The Chase, which is book 1 in the Briar U series. This one says, "Everyone says opposites attract, and they might be right, because there's no logical reason why I'm so drawn to Colin Fitzgerald. I don't usually go for tattoo-covered video gaming, hockey-playing nerd jocks who think I'm flighty and superficial. His narrow view of me is the first strike against him. It doesn't help that he's buddy-buddy with my brother, and that his best friend has a crush on me, and that I just moved in with them. Oh, did I not mention we are roommates? I suppose it doesn't matter. Fitzy has made it clear he's not interested in me, and even though the sparks between us are liable to burn our house down, I'm not the kind of girl who chases after a man, though I'm not about to start. About a man, though, and I'm not about to start. Okay. and I've got my hands full dealing with a new school, a sleazy professor, and an uncertain future. So if my sexy brooding roommate wises up and realizes what he's missing, he knows where to find me. Okay, this one I won from Goodreads. Oh, the cover is torn a bit. Okay, so this one that I won is called Rook by William Ritter. And this one says, let's see. Abigail Rook never intended to be the mortal bridge between the human and supernatural worlds. But now the power of sight and all the discord that comes with seeing the truth behind everything and everyone, both mundane and magical, is hers and hers alone. With this overwhelming new gift, she should be able to settle disputes, solve crimes, and help the late 19th century of New Fiddleham, New England, find calm in its supernatural chaos. The only problem? She has no idea what she's doing. And now Fiddleham isn't waiting for Abigail to be ready. Local witches and other magical beings are going missing, as tensions between human and supernatural residents curdle into a hatred that could tear the city apart. Abigail's fiancé Charlie works alongside her to unravel the magical disappearances, but as a shapeshifter, he's under threat as well. Then Abigail's parents appear, ready to take her back to England and marry her off to someone she's never met. As Abigail learns to master her gift, she must follow her sight, her instincts, and any clues she can find to track a culprit who could destroy everything she holds dear. Okay, this next one was my mom's book, and she found the content difficult to read, so she is not going to reread it, but she does think that I will enjoy it, so she did pass this on to me, and that is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I do have another book by this author. Okay. So the synopsis says, Winter 1945, 4 refugees, 4 secrets, each one born of a different homeland, each one haunted, and haunted by tragedy lies war. As thousands desperately flock to the coast of the midst of a Soviet advance, 4 paths converge, vying for passage aboard the Wilhelm Gustave, a ship that promises safety and freedom, but not all promises can be kept. And I think she said this was a World War II. I do have another book by this author. I have The Fountains of Silence, but I have not read it yet. But I've heard a lot of great things about this author's writing. Okay, so I've moved the rest of the books just off to the side here. So this first one is a trilogy. I've been wanting... I used to have this, and then for whatever reason I unhauled this series, and I just couldn't get it off my mind, so I had to rebuy it. So I went and got just this trilogy, and that is the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert. And technically you can read these in any order, however, there are characters from the first book that do show up later on in the series, like in book number 2 and 3, and so you know the outcome of certain events. So I recommend reading them in order, but technically you don't have to. So anyway, this one is called Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Chloe Brown is a chronically ill computer geek with a goal, a plan, and a list. After almost but not quite dying, she's come up with 7 directives to help her get a life. And she's already completed the first, finally moving out of her glamorous family's mansion. The next items: enjoy a drunken night out, ride a motorcycle, go camping, have meaningless but thoroughly enjoyable sex, travel the world with nothing but hand luggage, and do something bad. But it's not easy being bad, even when you've written step-by-step guidelines on how to do it correctly. What Chloe needs is a teacher, and she knows just the right man for the job. Redford Red Morgan is a handyman with tattoos, a motorcycle, and more sex appeal than 10,000 Hollywood heartthrobs. He's also an artist who paints at night and hides his work in the light of day, which Chloe knows because she spies on him occasionally. Just the teensiest bit. But when she enlists Red on her mission to rebel, she learns things about him that no spy session could teach her, like why he clearly resents Chloe's wealthy background, and why he never shows his art to anyone, and what really lies beneath his rough exterior. From what I have read of Talia Hibbert, which is this trilogy a while ago, and her young adult book, I don't even remember the title of it, she does a good job with having various different disabilities represented. Anxiety, autism, chronic illness, things like that. So number 2 is Take a Hint, Dani Brown. And this one says, Danica Brown knows what she wants. Professional success, academic renown, and an occasional roll in the hay to relieve all the career-driven tension. But romance? Been there, done that. Burned the t-shirt. Romantic partners, whatever their gender, are a distraction and best a drain at worst. Or a distraction at best and a drain at worst. So Dani asks the universe for the perfect friend with benefits. Someone who knows the score and knows their way around the bedroom. When big, brooding security guard Zafir Ansari rescues Dani from a workplace fire drill gone wrong, it's an obvious sign. PhD student Dani and former rugby player Zaf are destined to sleep together. But before she can explain that fact to him, a video of the heroic rescue goes viral. Suddenly half the internet is shipping #DrRugby, and Zaf is begging Dani to play along. Turns out his sports charity for kids could really use the publicity. Lying to help children? Who on earth would refuse? Dani's plan is simple. Fake a relationship in public, seduce Zaf behind the scenes. The trouble is, grumpy Zaf is secretly a romantic, and he's determined to corrupt Dani's stone-cold realism. Before long, he's tackling her fears into the dirt. But the former sports star has issues of his own, and the walls around his heart are as thick as his thighs. Suddenly, the easy lay Dani dreamed of is more complex than her thesis. Has her wish backfired? Is her focus being tested? Or is the universe waiting for her to take a hint? And I enjoyed all of these when I read them, but my favorite is the Act Your Age, Eve Brown. And that's because there is autism rep in this, and it is done very well. It is definitely own voices where Talia Hibbert is on the spectrum, and I am autistic, so I related to a lot of this stuff. And it was done very well. I loved it. Okay. It says, Eve Brown is a certified hot mess. No matter how hard she strives to do right, her life always goes horribly wrong. She's given up trying, but when her personal brand of chaos ruins an expensive wedding, someone had to liberate those poor doves. Her parents draw the line. It's time for Eve to grow up and prove herself, even though she's not entirely sure how. Jacob Wayne is in control, always. The bed and breakfast owner is on a mission to dominate the hospitality industry and expects nothing less than perfection. So when a purple-haired tornado of a woman shows up out of the blue to interview for his open chef position, he tells her the brutal truth. Not a chance in hell. Then she hits him with her car, supposedly by accident. Yeah, right. Now his arm is broken, his B&B is understaffed, and the dangerously unpredictable Eve is fluttering around trying to help. Before long, she's infiltrated his work, his kitchen, and his spare bedroom. Jacob hates everything about it, or rather he should. Sunny, chaotic Eve is his natural-born nemesis, but the longer these two enemies spend in close quarters, the more their animosity turns into something else. Like Eve, the heat between them is impossible to ignore, and it's melting Jacob's frosty exterior. There's a scene in this that made me laugh because I have an issue with this. There's a part where the main character, what was his name? Jacob. He has a friend or coworker or someone threaten to basically mess up his sock drawer. That would be an issue for me too. And his reaction is definitely a reaction that I would have. So if you've read this, you know all about that. Okay, so we're on the last couple here. So this one is called Small Town Big Magic by Hazel Beck. I really like the cover of this one. There's no such thing as witches, right? Emerson Wilde. It's either Wilde or Wilde. I can never tell because I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'm going to say Wilde. Emerson Wilde has built the life of her dreams. Youngest Chamber of Commerce, president in St. Crichton history, successful indie bookstore owner, and lucky enough to have her best friend as found family, done. But when Emerson is attacked by creatures that shouldn't be real and kills them with what can only be called magic, Emerson finds that the past decade of her life has been a lie. St. Crichton isn't your average Midwestern river town. It's a haven for witches. When Emerson failed a power test years ago, she was stripped of her magical memories. Turns out Emerson's friends are all witches. And so is she. That's not all, though. Evil is lurking in the charming streets. I'm not going to say the city name because I don't know what it is. Emerson will need to learn to control what's inside her, remembering her magic, and deal with old, complicated feelings for her childhood friend, cranky yet gorgeous local farmer Jacob North, to defeat an enemy that hides in the rivers and shadows of everything she loves. Even before she had magic, Emerson would have done anything for the town, but now she'll have to risk not just her livelihood, but her life. Can you tell I'm on like a romance kick? Yeah. This next one was, well, the rage not that long ago. And I really like the cover and I've been wanting to get to it. So I thought, what the heck? Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. A pasture of dead trees, a hostile takeover of the Santa barn by a family of raccoons, and shipments that have mysteriously gone missing. Lovelight Farms is not the magical winter wonderland of Stella Bloom's dreams. In an effort to save the Christmas tree farm she's loved since she was a kid, Stella enters a contest with Instagram famous influencer Evelyn St. James. With the added publicity and the $100,000 cash prize, Stella must just be able to save the farm from its financial woes. Oh, she might just be able to do that. Okay. There's just one problem. To make the farm seem like a romantic destination for the holidays, she lied on her application and said she owns the Lovelight Farms with her boyfriend. Only there is no boyfriend. Her best friend, Luca Peters. Oh, enter her best friend, Luca Peters. He just stopped by for some hot chocolate and somehow got a farm and a serious girlfriend in the process. The fake dating his best friend might be the best Christmas present he's ever received. I've heard some good things. Okay. Next, I have Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. Love the cover. There's something going on with romance covers that it's just like drawn me in. I love the covers like this. They're a match made in hell. The Griffins and the Galeos, I think. So the Griffins and the Galeos have been battling for control of Chicago's underworld for generations. Their rivalry has always been flammable, but it reignites with a fury when Ada, the youngest and wildest Galeo sibling, crashes a party at the Griffin mansion and accidentally sets fire to the library. To stave off all-out war, her father quickly arranges a marriage between her and Callum Griffin, eldest son and heir to the Irish Mafia. Cold, ambitious, and brutal, Callum is determined to tame his headstrong new bride, but Ada is more than capable of giving as good as she gets, starting with poisoning Callum on their wedding night. The problem is, murdering him would be a lot easier if he didn't look so good while she was trying to do it. She's got a lockbox around her heart. He's got something to prove. In their struggle for dominance, who will go up in flames first? Kind of sounds like a Romeo and Juliet retelling. Anyway, moving on, I have The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. This is also one where I saw the cover of a book later on in the series and fell in love with the cover. This cover's not so bad itself. I do like it, but of course had to get the first book. So The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. Raised to rule, bred to lead, weaned on a diet of ruthless ambition. In a world of haves and have-nots, Maxim Cade's family has it all, and he wants nothing to do with it. At odds with his oil mogul father, he's determined to build his own empire, even if it means traveling far from home, painted as the black sheep. Lennox Hunter is the exception to every one of Maxim rules. Protesting the oil pipeline that threatens to destroy her ancestral land, she meets Maxim in a flurry of stars and sparks. That one moment changes everything, and it changes nothing. Maxim family is still the one stealing from hers, and her father is still the man she hates most. Oh, and his father, okay. He lies to have her once, and despite the truth, he'll do anything to keep her. Lennox tries to hate Maxim, but the inexorable pull between them across miles and years will not be denied, and neither will Maxim. I got a book by Katie Robert, Court of the Vampire Queen. Been wanting to try her writing, and this is vampires, so yeah. So this is in 3 acts, which I think it was originally in 3 books, and so it's a bind-up now. So Act 1 is Sacrifice, and then it's Heir, and then Queen. Is what that looks like to me. So, 3 powerfully alluring vampire men and 1 queen to rule them all. All Mina ever wanted was to escape her father's control. Half human, half vampire, she lived eternally torn between 2 worlds, never fully experiencing the pleasures of either, until her father chose her as the pawn in his latest political move, gifting her to the darkly powerful and dangerously seductive Malachi Zion. Malachi is not a vampire to be trifled with. He rules with an iron fist and has a reputation for the darkest of sins. But the longer Mina is with him, the more she realizes he's not the monster she first thought. And as fear bleeds into lust, then trust, then something more, Malachi opens Mina up to a world she never knew could be hers for the taking, including the love of Malachi's 2 closest friends and companions. Now surrounded by all 3 men, the center of their shockingly seductive world, Mina may finally have the power to face down her father and take back the life and crown that by all rights should be hers. Yeah. Final 3 books for this haul. Okay, this next one is called, again, I love the cover. This is Priest by Sierra Simone. And I've heard Becca talk about this from Becca in the books. He's a priest, and here is his confession. There are many rules a priest can't break. A priest cannot marry. A priest cannot abandon his flock. A priest cannot forsake his God. Tyler Bell has had no problem playing by the rules for the past 3 years after a family tragedy set him on the path to priesthood. That all changes when the delicious, sultry voice of Poppy Danforth sinks its claws into him through the screen of his confessional booth, and he can't get her sins out of his head. It should be easy to put his impure thoughts of her to rest, considering the vows Tyler has taken. It should be nothing to overcome what the sight and sound of her does to him. When his life with the church means everything. But once he has his first forbidden taste of those red lips, Tyler can't help but break all the rules for Poppy, no matter what it might cost them both. I'm struggling with the reading. Okay, now this next one is the conclusion of a trilogy in 2 books, and they follow different characters. So I will read the synopsis for both of them. So book number 2 in the trilogy, or this is part of the Dreamland Billionaires series. I read and fell in love with book number 1, so I had to get books 2 and 3. So book number 2 is Terms and Conditions, and this is by Lauren Asher. So we're following Declan and Iris. Underneath Declan it says, I'm destined to become the next CEO of my family's media empire. The only problem? My grandfather's inheritance clause. Fulfilling his dying wish of getting married and having an heir seemed impossible until my assistant volunteered for the job. Our marriage was supposed to be the perfect solution to my biggest problem, but the more we act in love for the public, the more unsure I feel about our contract. Caring about Iris was never part of the deal, especially not when breaking her heart is inevitable. And then underneath Iris it says, my plan to marry Declan was simple in theory. Move in together, throw a wedding, have a baby. We set rules to prevent any kind of issues. Ones that were never meant to be broken, no matter how much Declan tempts me. But what happens when our fake relationship bleeds into a real one? Falling in love was never an option, at least not for me. Yeah. Okay, and this last one in this haul is Final Offer. This is book number 3 in the Dreamland Billionaires series, again by Lauren Asher. We're following Callahan and Elena, it looks like. So Callahan says, I'm the Kane brother everyone gossips about behind closed doors. Trust fund brat. Washed up athlete. High functioning alcoholic. No one knows the real me but her. Lena Castillo. My childhood best friend and the only woman I ever loved. When I broke her heart 6 years ago, I promised to never return to Lake Wisteria. I kept my word until my grandfather's will changed everything. To receive my inheritance, I was tasked with spending a summer at the family lake house before selling it. The request was simple in theory until my entire plan blew up on the very first day. Turns out Lana doesn't just live at the house, but she claims to own it too. Elena, I don't know. Falling in love with Callahan Kane was a mistake. He told me so before destroying my heart and our friendship 6 summers ago. When he promised never to come back, I foolishly believed him. But then Cal showed up again, intending to sell his grandfather's lake house. The biggest flaw in his plan? My name is on the deed. See where that one goes. So that's it. That is my book haul for the month of September. Let me know, have you read any of these books? Have you read any books by any of these authors? Let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.